And every time we get involved in global campaigns, and we do that so well, the agencies come back with the cons. The multinationals, when they have a chance and give business to Canada, we succeed. We don't bury it. We don't be embarrassed by it. We get CBC to document it. We get the government to buy a 2-page spread in every issue of Wired magazine and Fast Company and London Times and every important newspaper in the world, and we use those 2 pages to constantly celebrate our ability to create, invent, develop, produce, predict, and model. And finally, I want to take advantage of the supercomputers that can predict the impact of a hurricane or terrorism or a virus and turn them loose on predictive modeling. So when we have these ideas, we have these creations, we can predict them against marketplaces that range from the street corner of Toronto to Mumbai to every corner in between. And by the way, we don't need $1 billion. We don't need $700 million to do that. We need $50 or $60 million, and we need to have people with vision. We need the government to put creativity and innovation at the very top of their economic agenda, because that's where productivity is going to come from. That's where our livelihood is going to come from in the future. But there's things that we can start doing today. We don't have to wait. We will get there with those computers. And I promise you we'll get there with predictive modeling and online paneling, because we won't stop. But even tomorrow, as you go back to work, there's some things that we can do. The Ken Wongs that are in the audience that are already leading the charge in academia. Throw out the legacy textbooks. I go speaking on campus and they go, we're still learning about the 4 Ps. These are people that have grown up playing Halo and Gen Y. Let's take this generation and unleash them on a marketplace and have them graduate thinking outward bound, thinking collaborative, having global experience, being extraordinary problem solvers. Multinationals in this room, stop dialing in your annual plans. I see marketing plans time and time again, which looks like last year and 10 years ago. Oh yeah, the internet's coming, the digital's coming. We put 10% towards it. Let's start going back and say, let's use Canada as a test market. Let's not stop aiming for 2%. Let's aim for up here, and even if we fail, look what we've learned together. And go and fight for those global assignments, because you will not have a job if we continue to be lift and adapt. Agencies, knock on the doors internationally. Get out there and win. We've won 2 of the biggest global projects in our life because we got on a plane and went after it. But 99% of that work will be produced in Canada. So that's the dream that I have. That's the strategy I have. Instead of being hewers of wood and pumpers of wow, I want to be purveyors of creativity and innovation. I want us to be in our watch, to hand over to this generation a country that is known worldwide for making their destiny a matter of choice, not chance. I want to end with a quote by the last politician I felt in this country commanded the attention of the world stage. Could have taken his machete around the world with his banner of creativity and made it happen. And his son speaking the end of the day to us. And that was Pierre Trudeau. And I always remember him getting off an airport in Bonn or Havana, Cuba, and people cared about what he had to say. Yes, we're David versus Goliath, but it didn't matter because they believed in Canada. And this quote is one of my favorite quotes. He says, "We wish nothing more, but we'll accept nothing less. Masters in our own house. Our house is Canada." So ladies and gentlemen, send Christopher an email, send me an email, get involved, get engaged. Let's become masters of our own house. Let's keep marketing alive, not just surviving, but thriving for the next 100 years. Thank you for your attention. Enjoy your day. I think we got to get together and we got to decide what are we allowed to collaborate on, because we're all competitive, and say what are the things, what's the level playing field that we can all have access to. What we do with it, it's up to each agency, how entrepreneurial, how innovative you are with it. But the basic platforms that I want to do is a combination of providing us with the insights and the data and the knowledge we need to create on a global stage. And I want the stage and the platform paid for so that as we do have these success stories, we're constantly advancing the concept of we are world class. And there's no reason, by the way, if you go around the world and ask people what they think about Canada, they think Cirque du Soleil, they think our comedians, they think our musicians, they know we are a very creative culture. There's no reason this business should be in London and New York and Amsterdam and not be in Toronto and Montreal. Second thing I want us to do, by the way, is our cities, we've got to create environments where creative people want to live. That's an eyesore what's happening in Toronto on the waterfront. You go down to Montreal, old Montreal, no wonder Ubisoft wanted to set up their head office in Montreal, because old Montreal is such a beautiful bohemian culture that the creative people want to come together and drink wine and listen to jazz and talk and debate. Like St. Laurent Street used to be when Mordecai Richler and Trudeau and the guys would sit down and talk. And that's what one of the things that we need to do is we got to think about it. It's a strategy, but it begins with having the political will to say, I know I get a vote giving $700 million to the automotive industry, and believe me, I'm not lacking sensitivity for the people. But India's making cars for $7,500, less than the healthcare cost of our cars. We got to realize that's a Band-Aid on a festering sore, and what we need to do, I think, more than anything else, is realize that if we're not in the business of invention, creating the products and services of tomorrow, then we're in the business of commoditization. And I don't believe we can be a low-cost producer. So the money is to come up with the insights and knowledge that I need to identify the opportunities in the white space and to model them and to test them and to celebrate them. 17-minute answer, I'm sorry. Andrew, uh-oh. This is my former partner. He's one of the most intellectual guys I want, so there's a very good chance I'm going to need a dictionary, but go ahead.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about there seems to be a contradiction between the fact, I mean, you're talking a lot about competitiveness, and yet I think, Canada's showing the world that you don't necessarily have to be as competitive as people were in the 21st century. In collaboration, to me, is kind of the 21st century winning formula, and we're showing them that. So how do you reconcile that desire to be world class, and yet what's great about us is that we're collaborative. We don't have to always win in that way.
Well, first of all, our productivity in 1960, we're the third most productive nation in the world. We're now 24th. So we can collaborate all we want. The reality is, who are we going to collaborate with, and who's going to want to collaborate with us? So my point of it is, open source innovation, open source creativity, wonderful. Absolutely love it. There's no reason why we can't create products and sell it to Procter & Gamble worldwide, because they've now got an open source saying, bring us your best ideas. You've come up with the Tide Stick, we'll fast track it in the marketplace. The reality is, I don't know many examples of Canadians collaborating and leading and winning. And that's my issue. My issue is if we're not even at the table in those discussions and debates, we're going to have a hard time being part of the dialogue. Sit with the Gen Y gamer. Cognitive learning. We have grown up with a society about, oh, that's good, Johnny. Oh, that's the worst paper I ever read, but Sally, that was good. Your spelling was correct. Cognitive learning in gaming is about failing to succeed. I'm trying to get to level 1, I got killed again. I'm trying to get to level 1, I got my car crashed again. I got to learn the cheat codes. I got to come out, what did my buddy do? What did I remember last time? I got to put all this stuff together. I finally stop failing and I win, and I feel so good because I won. And then I got to go to the next level and relearn everything. That's cognitive learning. University, let's sit in the chair. I want to take you through this 300-page textbook. Huh? I'm a gamer, man. I don't even read the manual. No, we're going to sit through. That's how we got to change this brain power of Gen Y. They've grown up with technology. It's a magic wand to them. We still think it's something unique and different. We're going to create mobile applications. They don't think of this as mobile applications. This is their oxygen. They'll take a cell phone on a desert island ahead of the hottest male or female partner because that's their connectivity. We have to teach that way. We have to teach with cognitive learning and collaboration. There shouldn't be a university in Canada that does not send our people out for at least a term globally, ideally more. There shouldn't be a university in Canada that's teaching business that doesn't have a term in China. Understand, so we can start building a network with Asia and the future. So that's what I'm thinking about universities. Teach the same way we game. Even in high schools. I cannot believe we teach history the way we do. Can you imagine if somebody came up with the greatest video game in the world and you saw what it really meant to be an explorer in Canada and what rap is and portage and whether you survived or got attacked and lived and how did you build your humanity, your culture, what the role of religion was all done on a video game like a Second Life? How much more interesting Canada would be and how much more exciting people would be, their legacy to go forward. That's how we got to change the academics in this society. Listen, I've taken a lot of your time. We've got a massive day of extraordinary people. Once again, thank you so much for your attention. Join the revolution. Let's have some fun. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen.